Alright, Shalom. This is Arya Bon Yasharala out of the Lions Den camp. First and foremost, I want to give all praise and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachak, Wadash, Ma'amath. A double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well and teach well. A double honor to my elder as well, Harwan Bon Yasharala down here in the Lions Den camp. And a sincere the water to the Akim, the Aquathium, and the children that's pushing the truth and believe it with sincerity at the water. The picture I got here is on the left is a man named Tazariak of ISUPK, and the guy on the right is Wack 100. I've heard the name a lot, but I really didn't know who he is until I started looking up, until I heard the video and looked him up a little bit. But they were having a conversation, and apparently Tazariak, I don't want to call him a captain because it's just childish. But he offended Wack 100 by talking to somebody a part of the gang. He's with the gang culture or something like that. And rather than Tazariak standing his ground, not for himself as a man, but for Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, because that's ultimately our reason for being in this realm, is to glorify the name of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai and bring light to as many dark souls. I don't say dark souls, but bring light to as many souls in this dark realm as we possibly can. And rather than tell him, hey, I'm gonna teach whoever I'm gonna teach whoever I can teach, whether it be you or somebody who's a part of your organization, he was like, no, he just kind of bowed down to him. And it was a really sad thing. A really sad thing to see, really, because it was just that's not the type of spirit a man of the Lord, a man who calls himself a man of the Lord should be doing. It doesn't matter who's telling you. It doesn't matter who's telling you to not to. Ultimately, he told him, don't preach the word of the Lord to anybody in my gang, and he was like, all right, yeah, I won't do it. He didn't say it, but in layman's terms, that's pretty much what happened. I mean, the whole gang life, Bloods, Crips, MS-13, all that shit is death. All of it's vanity. All right, that's just it's just the culture of death. It teaches our people to kill, rob, steal, sell drugs to their brothers and to their sisters and to the children of their community. There's nothing good about it. And you should want to fervently break people out of that. Wack 100, to my knowledge, he's like the leader of not all the Bloods, but he's a leader of a lot of the Bloods wherever he's at. And if you're talking to him, you should want to push it even more, because talking to him, he could potentially turn his whole, I'll say, congregation of Bloods into Israelites. But I'm gonna go ahead and get the scripture. This is I'm gonna get Romans. All right, this is Romans chapter 2, verse 8. It says, Romans chapter 2, verse 8. It says, but unto them that are contentious and do not obey the truth, but obey unrighteousness, indignation and wrath. And that's what this man Tazariak did. He obeyed unrighteousness, indignation, and Wack 100's wrath. All right, because he told him, don't do that shit over here. And then Tazariak was like, oh, I I speak so highly of you. I speak so highly of you, oh gangster, that all you do is just talk about gang life and shit like that. I talk about how you survive the prisons. There's nothing cool about going to prison. There's nothing cool about going to prison. There's nothing cool about getting out of prison and having prison stories to tell. That shit's not cool at all. That shit's sad. It's just slavery. That's all it is. It's just slavery. It's a horrible thing. If anything, you should pity that man. Verse 9, tribulation and anguish upon every soul of a man that doeth evil, of the Jew first and also of the Gentile. Gentile means Israelite who Israelite who's not following the law, statutes, commandments of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. Verse 10, but glory, and also there's a Gentile who's actually a natural born Gentile outside of the nation of Israel. Verse 10, but glory, honor, and peace to every man that worketh good, to the Jew first and also the Gentile. For there is no respect of persons with Yahweh Khan. So there should be there's no respecter of persons unto Yahweh, and if you're doing Yahweh's work, there should be no respect unto anybody. All right, that there's no reason to treat a rich man better than you would treat a poor man. All right, there's no reason to do that. You would talk to them different. You might act differently around them, because the rich man might live in a different environment and stuff like that. But ultimately, you don't give them different levels of respect. One of the Akim Arakah at camp last camp, he was like, you give the janitor the same respect you give the CEO. They both working for the same company. All right, this is let me make sure I'm recording. Okay. This is Luke chapter 9, verse 25. It says, for what is a man advantaged if he gain the whole world and lose himself or be cast away? Khan. And that's what this man Tazariak is doing. He's trying to gain the world. He's trying to put aside. He's only an Israelite when it benefits him. The whole conversation with the dude Wack 100, he didn't say anything about Yahweh Shem Yahushai. He was just saying how sorry he was. He spoke so highly of this dude, and he didn't pay any homage to Yahweh Shem Yahushai. He didn't try to wake him up at all. He didn't bring out any verses, any scriptures at all. Verse 26. For whosoever shall be ashamed of me and of my words, of him shall the Son of Man be ashamed when he shall come in his own glory and in his Father's of the holy angel and of the only angels. Khan. And right there he was ashamed. All right, because ultimately Wack 100 was upset with him teaching, and he put it aside. If somebody comes up to me and was like, hey, I hear you breaking down scriptures to somebody in my group, I don't want you to do that. You should be like, I'm gonna keep on doing it. And of course you deal with them with more wisdom and more subtlety, but ultimately you don't back down and get scared and be like, oh yeah, I speak so highly of you. That's not the spirit of being. That's the spirit of fear. That's fearing man, and that's a horrible spirit to be in, especially in these times. And this man Tazaria, he already bowed down once for the whole juice. This is Isaiah chapter 58, verse 1. It says, cry aloud, spare not, lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and show my people their transgressions and the house of Jacob their sins. Khan. So in that moment, you're supposed to show this man his transgressions to Yahweh Shem Yahushai, and repping that Pyru shit, repping that gang shit. That's a transgression against Yahweh Shem Yahushai, because they have a whole set of I'll say commandments and laws that they go by. I mean, I don't know if it's true, but in media, I know Bloods don't pronounce like C words. I saw a Blood in this one show. Instead of saying Care Bears, he said Bear Bears because he didn't want to pronounce the letter C. And that's such a, it's burdensome to have that. All right, the burden or I'm sorry, the yoke that Yahweh Shem Yahushai has put upon us is a light yoke, but doing all this shit for the world is burdensome, and it's for vanity as well. So this is Jeremiah chapter 48, start at verse 10. Con. It says, "Cursed be he that doeth the work of the Lord deceitfully, and cursed be he that keepeth back his sword from blood." Con. And so, if this man Tazariak doesn't change his ways, he's going to be accursed until Yahweh Shem Yahushai, because he's doing the work of the Father. He's doing the work of the Lord deceitfully. He's using his congregation, and he's using being an Israelite to make merchandise of the people, selling the oils and stuff like that. You know, if there's nothing wrong with making money as long as you do it, knowing that all of this is temporal, and you put Yahweh Shem Yahushai first. But you're not supposed to use the Lord. You're not supposed to use the foundation of Yahweh Shem Yahushai and being an Israelite to make money. Or you can make some garments. Me myself, I wouldn't sell garments. I would just gift them to brothers. You know, or you could make music and sell it outside of the truth. But to make merchandise in the truth and try to and sell it and make merchandise off of people, that's not cool. And cursed be he that keepeth back his sword from blood. And that's what he did. All right, he didn't not once reverence Yahweh Shem Yahushai or try to bring out any scriptures to try to turn away the wrath of this man, Wack 100. It's it's really sad. It's really, really sad. All right. So this is my last scripture. This is Proverbs chapter 1, verse 7. It says, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction." All right. So, Salakia. This is Proverbs chapter 1, verse 1. It says, "The Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David, king of Israel, to know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding, to receive the instruction of wisdom, justice, judgment, and equity, to give subtlety to the simple, to the young man knowledge and discretion. A wise man will hear and will increase learning, and a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsels." Con. And this man Tazariak is not attaining unto wise counsel because of the water that's being poured into his cup. All the I wouldn't really say water, but the fruit that he is bearing is not fruit at all. It's bad fruit. It's unrighteous fruit, as we can see. All right. I mean, and what's crazy is he's part of the Israelite group known as ISUPK, and they're like a very carnal group. They dress in all black and leather, and they just like to be intimidating. They like to look, like carnal. There's nothing really spiritual about them. And when this dude who really really bout that shit came up to him, he backed down quick. He backed down really really quick. Verse 6, it says, "To understand a proverb and the interpretation, the words of the wise and their dark saying. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction." All right, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, and that's what Tazariak did not display. He did not display the fear of the Lord. He displayed the fear of man. Dude told him, "Hey, don't be talking under my people," and he bitched up. All right, he was just like, "Okay, I speak so highly of you." So it's clear that he and the other people who are a part of this group don't have the beginning of knowledge. All right, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. All right, so it's it's really sad to see something like this, but it's also a blessing to know that we're not caught up in this. All right, for the so-called Negro, Latinos, and the Americans who are the Israelites that the Bible speaks of. It's a blessing to know that that we're saved from stuff like this. All right, it's a blessing to know. it's a blessing to know Yahweh Shem Yahushua ultimately. That's ultimately what it is. Pray the lesson was edifying. Shalom.